at the University of Colorado in both the business school, teach venture planning, and then in the engineering school under the sort of banner of the Telecommunications, Cybersecurity, and Policy Department. And through that work, we have started, and I head up the University of Colorado's Blockchain Alliance. And so our goals with that have really been focusing on three things. One is to do community engagement, so do events like this, and also do outreach events where we help consumers and businesses start to understand how they should think about blockchain, cryptocurrencies, just the emerging tech as a whole, and how it might be relevant to them. The second one is collaborative research. So looking to do more research collaboratively with industry as well as sort of other universities to help bring an objective set of research to the community to help sort of compare technologies, look at use cases and other opportunities. And then the third one is workforce development. And that is both the students, but I don't think we all can solve the workforce demand with new graduates alone. And so also looking at educational opportunities with sort of existing sort of professionals and how they can make the shift into blockchain-related sort of industry and companies as a whole. So with that, I will hand off to Joe, and Joe, let you do a little bit on CSU, and then we'll go down the line.
Thanks, Under. I'm a professor of Joe Gersch. The reason I say wow is I've only been a professor for 6 years. I spent 40 years in industry, Hewlett Packard, cybersecurity companies. I teach cybersecurity, networking, and blockchain at Colorado State University in the computer science department. With that, I want to back up what Hunter just said. It's research and it's education. And research, I just finished our premier course, a full 17-week-long course in blockchain at Colorado State last week. There were 60 students in it. You'll hear a lot more about this afternoon. I've got a half-an-hour session on what did we do for 17 weeks? What kind of danger did we unleash on the planet? And we did a lot of good stuff. But that's not all we do. We can't just keep the work for us. And by the way, this is computer science. We talk about the inside, the outside, the upside and the downside, everything, the risks. What is really stupid about blockchain? What's really smart about blockchain? They went in naive. They came up with, everybody knows blockchain is Bitcoin, right? There's a lot more to it, and they learned what they could do with it, and they are now practitioners. They learned to code in Solidity, they learned to code in Hyperledger. I mean, they are well trained for the workforce. So that's my first objective, and we'll talk about that this afternoon. But that's not the only objective. The outreach that Hunter brought up. There's a Senate bill that was passed that said, hey, all you government departments, you need to consider blockchain, because we got hacked bad last year. And you should consider blockchain technology. So I was invited to, for example, speak to the annual conference. So every county comes to this conference with their public trustees and their county treasurers. And they said, well, we've heard about blockchain, and I think we know how to spell it. Could you tell us what it is? That's the level of exposure our government has to blockchain. We don't know what it is. So we're in education. We can explain it to you in small words, honestly, even though we have professors. And we can make it make sense for you, because all this technology, and this is something I tell all my students, if you cannot answer a simple two-word question about technology, you have no business creating it. And that two-word question is, so what? And once you can answer that, you've got something by the horns and you can make it happen. So that outreach part is very important. And finally, the research portion. The students created projects, we'll talk about those later, that were incredible. Not just applications, what can you do with it? New consensus systems. How do we make it go faster? This thing takes too long to mine a block. How can we make it more scalable? Because there's limits here, there's serious issues. That's what education is all about. That's what we're doing at Colorado State.
My name is Michael Myers. I teach digital marketing at the University of Denver, and so I have been pushing blockchain in my courses. I teach several courses. One of them is digital strategies, where we bring in clients and then try to have the students disrupt their business model utilizing blockchain. So it's a good educational process, a good educational experience for students to try to figure out how to disrupt a business, and the business gets to walk away with lessons learned or potential weak spots in their model. So we do blockchain and a host of other technologies. So it's a pretty engaging course, and work blockchain into global product innovation as well. And so that's a pretty light touch as far as on the topic, but then we also, they're tasked with developing a business model utilizing that technology. So it's been pretty fun, and DU is kind of meeting globally, I think on Thursday, to kind of figure out how we can utilize and communicate everything that's going on within the organization being the University of Denver. So it's a lot going on.
I'm Paige Baltzan. I'm with the University of Denver as well. I'm in the Information Analytics Department, and I teach, and I've taught everything from data warehousing to Python coding to you name it, I've taught it, networks and telecom back in the day. I'm also an author from McGraw-Hill, which is now McGraw-Hill Sangage, and I write an Intro to Technology book that's been out for about 20 years. And I'm now tasked with writing a new innovation in technology for the gig economy. Really not just blockchain, but machine learning, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, identity of things, everything you can imagine. One of the great things about being an author is I get to work with schools all over the country. So I have a lot of faculty that I work with and talk to about what they're doing with blockchain, or just anything that's coming out of the fourth industrial revolution to really help these students jump into the gig economy. One of the issues we have is that my book is used for all business students, not just computer science or technology, so they could be marketing, finance, management, legal. So really trying to get engagement and excitement around technology for people who really don't want to hear about technology is one of the things trying to do. Why do they care? Why should they care about blockchain? How is it going to impact them? So looking forward to creating some really interesting things as we move through this and get these students really ready to jump into a game that we don't even know what they're going to be playing yet.
Good morning, my name is Joshua Ross. I'm a professor at the University of Denver at the Daniels College of Business. I taught with Michael Myers for about 7 years. We had this Intro to Business course called Gateway to Business. And what we did is we taught Intro to Business concepts and then wrapped it around a project where students would come together in small groups and come up with an app of some sort. About winter, Professor Haig, who ran Gateway to Business, approached me and said, we need to revamp this course. It's been 7 years it's run this course. Let's look at the fourth industrial revolution. So we did a pilot course on the fourth industrial revolution and really focused on 6 core technologies emerging out of it. Artificial intelligence, extended reality, additive manufacturing, drones, autonomous vehicles, IoT, and then distributed ledger, blockchain, cryptocurrency. And the whole idea is to get these students ready to take these concepts that are going to impact us from now until who knows when, and to actually come up with actual business ideas, physical products, or why these things need to be built. Blockchain is probably one that we spend the most time focusing on because of just the different utilities for it. So with that being said, we're sad that we don't get to spend enough time just focusing on blockchain, but more around the fourth industrial revolution. But it also gives these students the opportunity to take the idea of blockchain and come up with business ideas. So the students just recently pitched a few of these ideas and formed groups, and a few groups are doing blockchain around healthcare, voting, and one that I think is really interesting around digital identity. So they'll take these ideas for the next 6 weeks and build either a prototype or a business plan of why this is with the opportunity around that. In parallel, they also have a small project where they all open up a crypto wallet and are required to do a number of transactions throughout the quarter. So we try to give them a very kind of high-level introduction into distributed ledger, blockchain, and also the cryptocurrency.
Very good. And just one sort of a note before we sort of hand over or open up for Q&A. Several of us have been also involved with the state, with the Department of Higher Education as well as the Department of Education for the U.S., looking at how universities can be essentially grounds for experimentation. So looking at some of the identity applications, looking at voting, looking at sort of digital certificates. And so I think that leads us into a question of how we can support the community, because we've got loads of great students, the creativity of the student teams. I would assume in all the university there's the opportunity for anyone to engage with student teams to investigate use cases, do prototypes. Not only is that helping us develop stronger workers for you in the future, but it also educates larger groups in terms of the applicability and warming them up for how they might consume and buy products in the future. So that's exciting work we're excited about, especially in Colorado, given the support the overall effort has from the governor, and already some of the blockchain voting apps or applications that Colorado is pursuing. So excited to see how the universities can collaborate, and then sort of just as Colorado as a whole, the progress that we can make as a group together. So with that, would love to hear questions that you guys might have. I'll go ahead.
Thank you. Does any university here have a properly identified course in blockchain? By properly identified, that means what skills are needed for blockchain, executing blockchain projects, and the course teaches all those skills part by part, and then the university gives out a degree to certify that the student now is a certified professional in blockchain. So we have that.
So let me start with what CU has, and I think I'd probably say for all of us, we're on that journey. So at CU we have 3 courses now that operate under the title blockchain. So I teach the introduction to blockchain. We have a course that teaches in the CS department that teaches programming and Solidity, and then we have a course in the business school that is really teaching an overview of cryptocurrencies and governance. In addition to that, we will be issuing a certificate that allows students to leverage other courses, so we want them to combine it with sort of philosophy to think about the implications. We're allowing them to combine it with economics courses. We allow them to integrate cybersecurity as well as distributed network courses to get a complete certificate. So those are our first steps going down that path.
So currently, we have a course in computer science, we have a course in business, which touches on it.
Clients, we're going to open it up for memberships. And so then people can pose questions, and we'll, as a larger body of sort of faculty members and students, help do the research around those. There's also then the opportunity to have projects, so undergraduate student projects, graduates, as well as then projects that are collaborative, one across universities, but also then across the faculty, so that we can help bring in sort of the economic theory, the governance theory, the law, in terms of a lot of the resources right now that I think universities are very well placed to help think about and propose solutions and try to highlight maybe some of the landmines where it's more difficult to do that as an individual company if you don't have large resources. And then the third area for us is, and this is something that we're talking about across the universities, is hosting a conference and having an industry track, an academic paper track, and a student paper track that would allow us to operate within a wider region, take advantage and bring together what's going on in Wyoming and sort of more of a Western sort of space where there's a tremendous amount of leadership across the globe.
I'll keep it a little bit more simple. I'm an entrepreneur, so I like less friction. On our side, what we're really looking for is through the Daniels College of Business and through this program, we're probably going to have upwards of about 50, 60 teams coming up with different ideas and projects around the fourth industrial revolution. Some of that's blockchain. We'd love to see a lot of people from the community come to some of these events that we're hosting and see what these students are doing, because by the time they get to this program, it's pretty mind-blowing what they've accomplished. First, second, we'd love to have people come in as guest lecturers, talk about the technology, talk about the business, talk about the social issues, the privacy issues, the unintended consequences. So anything people want to do to be involved, we love to have you, and I'll send out the information.
Thanks, Josh. One other question here, and then we have time for one more right after, so just.
So I heard you guys talking about voting a little bit. I was curious, so one of the projects that I ran was, you guys are familiar with the Denver County mobile voting pilot, where they used a blockchain-based application. So I was a part of that project. And one of the things that happened was, with these companies we've been working with, a lot of them are looking for more collaboration opportunities. What are some of the existing kind of collaboration opportunities, more on the technical side, or even the business side that you had mentioned? What are some of these?
Let's just take voting. I think blockchain is wonderful for keeping the votes, keeping accountability, transparency, see who got my vote was recorded, things like that. The collaboration is needed. Is the technology is not to store the data. It's how does an average Joe person, Jane person get their digital ID and keep it safe. Because if you told, for example, every voter, you have to use Chrome or MetaMask, they're going to say, excuse me, a what? They don't speak that language. That's where collaboration is needed, is how we do onboarding for voters, voter registration, so they can have a safe digital ID, keep it in their cell phone, whatever. But how do you just manage it? The real problem isn't in the blockchain. It's in the interface to the blockchain, and that's where collaboration is needed. Just use the voting example.
Yeah, outside of just voting, we look for our businesses that we can partner with and help challenge them in certain ways. So it's basically just in my personal network, et cetera, but if anybody has a business that would like to kind of explore how blockchain could be used to develop different business models, et cetera, please contact.
And then just to touch on voting specifically, so the CU is supportive, and this would be across all campuses, about running pilots. And so I think, our view from a university perspective is the ability to leverage a project like that to bring in designers, to bring in business students, to bring in sort of engineers to help solve all of the problems of making that work, going from sort of the interface design to the usability to the communications around it. One of the things I think is really interesting about the ecosystem is really the ability to first do it like at a club level, and then do it at a sort of university-wide level, and then do it across sort of CU's campuses, right? So, set a couple 100,000 students collectively, it gives a great environment to, we can look at how we could leverage student IDs as a precursor to other ID management. So lots of different things, and I think generally the universities are super open to sort of creative solutions that are both helpful and help sort of educate and give great opportunities for the students as well.
Yeah, we also do a lot of capstone projects with our master's students, so we'll pair each student off with business, and we have many businesses that will go quarter after quarter because they do a great job those 10 weeks we're in quarters, and then keep going with it. So we're always looking for partners. If you're looking for some free labor, we would love to throw our grad students at you. We also do a lot of challenges. So we'll bring in all the schools around, throw a data set at them and give them a day to come back with different ways, and we give money for that. So there's always stuff going on, so definitely if you're looking for free labor, capstone projects are a great way to get some students engaged in your business.
Some great things have kicked off with those capstone projects, so definitely touch base with folks from the afterwards.
What legal framework do you have to protect cryptocurrencies or support cryptocurrency?
So just to repeat that, but you're asking what legal frameworks the universities have to protect the currencies?
The whole state, like Wyoming, they have 13 legal laws already passed. To do cryptocurrencies, we need a legal framework for protection, and like Wyoming is very friendly to cryptocurrencies. So if someone to establish a business and soon be sued, be crashed by the state or government, how can they do that? I just want to know, what do you know to your extent? To what extent the state already have the legal or plan to have new laws to protect cryptocurrency?
I can't, I'm not aware of it directly. I don't know if any people are. I do know, I think, Hans, there is a panel with Thad and others that are working in the state later on today. It's the next panel in the other room. So there is I think Wyoming is doing a great job, but in Colorado has a lot of initiatives, has some catch up to play, but there is a lot of effort going into that area, but I think that panel will be a great source for it.
All right, guys, sorry, final question. So, no pressure, but it better be really good.
Simple question. Thank you very much. My name is Martin Oliver. Go Buffs. Your question and what you're working on right now, I have a question regarding universities and the interaction with the aging populace. My mother-in-law is an example. She's 87 years old and knows how to text. But how do you approach the aging populace with this new technology and educating them and making them more comfortable as academics?
So the conversations we have with the Asian populace is more about the advantages, how it's going to protect them and how it's secure and those kinds of things. We don't talk about the tech at all. If we get a question that, like, how does it work? We can explain that in metaphors, et cetera. It's not that they're dumb, it's just that they may not be swimming in tech every day, so they're like, what are you talking about? We talk about the how when they've asked. We just talk about the business impact, the personal impact.
Do they embrace it?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, it's funny. It depends on the delivery and the person. The fact is, a lot of times they're like, well, can you show me? Right? They want to know and feel like it's okay. I mean, they've been watching the news and know that an 11-year-old hacked the election, voting system in 8 minutes or whatever it was, and so they're kind of like, if it's pitched as an answer to that, then they want to believe. But
The questions from them are going to be more, not exempt. I don't care how it works. I have a retirement portfolio. Is it safe? I have it stocks and bonds. Should I put it into Bitcoin? Should I put it into something else? How does this make sense? Those are the questions we get. It's all a relationship. None of the tech. What is it good for me?
I think this is nothing new. We've been dealing with this. My mother had to go to the bank. She didn't trust ATMs. She spent her entire life getting to the bank before it closed. And so it's like any technology as it comes along, getting people trusting of doing something different. It's that change process, it's that change management philosophy. So we do try to teach that in many different ways, but as these technologies come out and they change the way we do business and the way we live our lives, it's just a matter of getting them over that hurdle. My mother never did go to an ATM.
We approach it a little bit differently. What we try to show is the opportunity and the innovation and disruption you can do around the aging. So what we really push in our class, when they're looking at different ideas to apply some of these technologies, is how to improve aging in place. How can we make that actually happen? A lot of these new technologies provide some really interesting opportunities around innovation. So that's the approach we take.
All right, that's going to have to wrap this up, so thanks so much for participating.